If you're thinking about starting to write your Common App essay, or maybe you're in the editing phase and you are really trying to make it pop and hopefully connect with the reader, and you're struggling to do that, one of the absolute nucleuses of powerful and compelling writing is the old adage that many students have heard, and that is to show, don't tell through your writing. But it's very confusing to know what those words really mean. Show, don't tell. We're writing words. Doesn't that mean we're simply telling our story? So let me give you a clear example of how incorporating a personal slice of life using sensory details, things that you saw, heard, felt, and did, not only personalize the essay to a situation that only you could tell the story about, but you also engage the reader and draw them into your world so that they are going to pay closer attention and be more interested in what you have to say in that essay. It's absolutely critical to show, don't tell when you're writing for your college apps. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's say you're a student who would like to demonstrate in their essay that you have a personal characteristic you're proud of that revolves around leadership. And you want to introduce the fact that you have been the class president of the senior class, and that came with several responsibilities. Let's compare and contrast two different examples, and you can hear if one sounds more like telling and one sounds more like showing. My first example is going to be Leadership Larry. Leadership Larry is going to write in his essay, as president of the senior class, I was in charge of running meetings, coordinating many school activities, including our all-school annual fair, and interfacing with school administration. Okay, that's factual. I understand very clearly what Leadership Larry had to do as a senior class president, and it does clearly state that. But it's also a little bit boring. It's a little dry. It's not super interesting for me as a reader to engage and want to dig in really much more depth into Larry's essay. So let's contrast that with Leadership Lynne. Leadership Lynne happens to have the exact same position that Leadership Larry had at a different school. And let's see how she describes it. With the 90-degree Arizona sun beating down, my all-school fair committee rushed to put up shade tents and double our ice cream order. As class president, I never expected to be running to 5 different 7-Elevens to get 100 pounds of ice. Okay, does it clearly say what Leadership Lynne had to do as president of the senior class? No, but it does say that she is in charge of a committee. It does say that she is presumably in charge of putting on the all-school fair. It highlights that she is dealing with unexpected situations. And even more than that, when we talked about sensory detail, we heard about the blazing sun. We had a sense of place because we mentioned Arizona, which most people will know is going to be a hot climate. We talked about putting up the activity of putting up shade and doubling the ice cream order. And then Lynne personally is involved to do a kind of unusual activity, which is to run to 7-Elevens and buy more ice. And you'll notice that in my example, I didn't say I ran out to buy more ice. I said I ran to 5 different 7-Elevens to buy 100 pounds of ice. So I've added in a number of very specific details that serve to make the story richer and more engaging for the reader. They make the story truly personalized, very non-generic, and they make the reader think about their own self having to get in the car and drive around to 5 different 7-Elevens and physically load 100 pounds of ice in my car to get back to school and make sure that my school fair is a success. So you can see the difference when we use a slice of life story that is incorporating a lot of rich sensory detail and specific information that is only something you could tell. The reader has a much different experience hearing your story. So again, the absolute nucleus of writing engaging, relatable, compelling Common App essays is to utilize the principle of show, don't tell. And to do that, use your own personal experiences. Think about very specific incidents, whether they're in the school lab, doing a musical performance, a particular track practice, or some sort of leadership, whatever your situation is, tell the reader a story about that is important in some way and represents the characteristic you're trying to get across to the admissions officer. Use rich sensory detail, how things looked, how they felt, the activities that you had to do, and you are sure to have an essay that is not only super personal to you, but highly engaging. And that is half the battle when you're talking about the huge numbers of college admissions essays. I'm Susan with Type A Essays. For more information and free resources, please visit my website, typeaessays.com, or pop a question in the comments below, and I will do my best to help you out with that. Have a great day.